And the very last thing we need to do is go ahead and get that last bit of detail from our original file here. So if we zoom in, we're in solo mode. So we have this one showing, and then if you click on this one, you're going to see we're not quite at that resolution yet. So on this one here, with this one, have the eyeball turned on for your original, and then this remeshed one here, I'm going to hit BZP, and that's our ZProject brush. We're going to go ahead and turn off RGB. We'll have Z add turned on. And what we can do with this brush is we can, let's go out of solo mode so you can see what it's doing. We can ZProject back down, and we can hold down Alt and ZProject that mesh up. So we can just go around our mesh and project down and project up and project down to the original scan. So any place we got a little out of control, we can fix that just by going through and using our ZProject brush. Now this is camera based, so you're going to want to make sure you're looking straight down where you're doing that projection. And this is something you don't want to have symmetry turned on. Project this back maybe a little bit. These hands, we got a little out of control here. We can project these back. And if we go into solo mode, you're going to see we're picking up a little bit more detail. Now if we just go across the face here, you're going to see we don't really have a whole lot of geometry to grab all of that detail, so you might have to hit Control D, which again is just doing a geometry divide, and now we're up to 2.6 million, and our original mesh was only 896,000. So now we've got even more geometry here. So now and again, if we go to BZP, we can do use our ZProject brush, go out of solo mode here. So now when we go over this flat part of the face here, you're going to see all of that detail being put back on there. If you don't want to do that and you just want to do a project all, you can. So with both of these showing, you can hit project all. You're just going to have to watch where you had done that cleanup. It's going to try and project out the meshes that you had cleaned up and got rid of. So what you may have to do is go back into those areas, mask those out, and then do another project all, and the masked areas won't project at all. So you're going to see when I did a project all, it got nasty in here. One thing we can do though, if we undo that, we can go in here and we can go to our morph target. We can store a morph target, and then we can go ahead and do a project all. And now you can see, okay, yeah, we got all the detail back on our face here, but we have this garbage geometry in here. So go to BMO, and that is our morph brush here. And with the morph brush selected, we can morph back these areas where we're like, you know what, I didn't really want you to project. So you can go back through and kind of clean these areas up. By default, the Z add on the morph brush is 25%. So you can kind of go through and pick and choose, like, oh no, these areas are supposed to be cleaned up. Don't worry about those. And then these other areas have all that detail projected back onto them. So either way, you know, you can go back through, morph out any of the bad areas. If you need to, hold down Control Shift, isolate some areas so you can kind of see in there a little bit better, and then get in here with your morph brush. Now, it might have been a little bit smarter for when you were doing your Dynamesh to Dynamesh at a high enough resolution to grab all of this detail. The only reason I didn't do that is because it could sometimes tend to slow, let's use our morph brush here, tend to slow the process down just a bit. But then again, I'm having to do an extra work here. So feel free to do whatever works for you to get the result you want. But I think we've got our subdivision levels here. So here's our game res here. Goes all the way back up to the high res. We've cleaned it up nice and neat. Her arms are much better than they were. So now we have a brand new mesh. We can now export, reproject the textures from the cloud point and the aligned cameras onto our new UVs and our new cleaned up mesh. And again, this mesh was created in Reality Capture. We cleaned it up in ZBrush. We resurfaced it. If you want to reproject those textures back onto the mesh in Reality Capture from your aligned cameras, go watch video 8 in this series, I believe, and that'll walk you through that process.